Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Edna Keep here today, live with Mindset Monday. And our topic today is what kind of mindset do you need in order to attract clients? Or if you're a real estate investor, to attract investors. It's not just getting the training, it's not just understanding what you need to say and what you need to do. There's a whole mindset shift that you need to do if you're you need to have if you're dealing with other people's money. Whether it be if you're attracting clients, so this is good for anybody. If you're attracting coaching clients, what kind of mindset do you need to have? If you're attracting someone to buy your vehicle, what kind of mindset do you need to have? It's so important, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with, because if your mindset's not there, it doesn't matter who you talk to, doesn't matter how many people you talk to, you're not going to be able to accomplish your goals. So stick around, and we're going to give you some hints on, or some tips, I should say, on what you should, what your mindset should be. And that's going to be right from what should I be thinking as I'm going through my presentation. How do I get my point across? What kind of frame of mind do I have to get myself into even before I go meet an investor? Okay, good morning, Amanda. How are you? Glad to have you on. I don't know if Chandel got my note this morning about my topic to send it out to the email or email list. I didn't see anything, but oh, there's Chandel there. How are you, Chandel? Chandel, did you get my note so that you could send out the email this morning? I didn't see it, but that's okay. I'm sure it's all there. As I was saying, today I want to talk about what mindset it takes. Oh, perfect. Okay. What mindset it takes for you to be able to attract clients or investors. So this is good for everybody, no matter what business you're in. If you're in network marketing, if you're in real estate entrepreneur and you're raising capital, or if you're selling a product or a service, what mindset do you need to have? So basically, the first thing you need to have, and you need to have for a mindset, is that you need to believe in your offer, whatever your offer happens to be. If you're offering fitness classes, you need to believe in your offer. If you're offering to help an investor invest with you as part of into an apartment building or something, you have to believe in your product. If you're selling bookkeeping services, you need to believe in your product. Do you see that? So first of all, the very first thing is you need to believe. I don't know if, I know there's salespeople out there that sell whatever, but I really don't think you can be really good at what you do unless you believe in what you're selling, believe in your offer. Make sense? So one of the things that I read the other day, which totally makes sense to me, is if you are searching for a coach and you're going through different interviews or something like that, one of the first things you should ask a coach is, who's your coach? And the reason is, if they don't have a coach, guess what? They don't believe in what they do, right? Doesn't that make sense? And I went, that totally makes sense. I know some people struggle with their offer. They struggle with their fees, that sort of thing. Again, it all comes down to a belief system. Do you know, even signing up for a course is belief system on yourself. If you believe you can do it, you believe that you can actually accomplish what you're going to be taught and come out the other end a winner. That's a mindset. Because sometimes when I look at different courses and I think, oh, that sounds interesting, and then I go and maybe listen to the webinar or something, and at the end I go,
no matter what I do, I would never do that. So there's no point me signing up for the course. Does that make me a bad person? Does that make me lazy because I'm not going to take that particular course? No, I'm not committed to that particular course. But if you really want to get ahead in your business, you have to change you have to have that mindset. So to sell coaching, you have to have a coach. To sell a car, I would assume you have to have a car. Do you know when you buy vehicles from the dealership, their employees have to be driving their vehicles? Why is that? It's so they're a believer in what they're driving and what they're selling. Does that make sense? And I know the salespeople, they get new vehicles all the time. And it's because they got to drive it, they got to learn it, they got to be able to sell it, right? And so all these little bells and whistles, you have to be able to sell to your customer, right? So with an investor, just to get a little bit back on the real estate side of things, you need to believe first and foremost in your product. If you have a hard time believing that you can actually make the money, guess what? You won't be able to get any investors. If you are, if you're more theory than practical, sometimes it's hard to get that message across too. You know, there's challenges in real estate. There's challenges in every business, but you have to be the person, if you're managing the deal, that can get through those challenges. It's not about not having any challenges, because you'll always have challenges. Your mindset has to be, how will I deal with them? How will I learn from them? How will I get better? Because sometimes you get hit with stuff that's never happened before. Prime example, one of our mastermind students, or a couple of them, they just went through a new purchase, and they posted in the Facebook group, if you want to go back. I won't go into great detail about it, but a bunch of stuff just at the final hour that came up that they'd never had to deal with before. And that was like, one of the investors was in litigation, and I think I can't remember all the rules or all the things it was, but go back and just look at that, and it shows it's not about the mindset that you'll figure it out and never ever have a challenge. It's about the mindset of, how will I get through the challenge, or I just won't stop until I get through it. Make sense? Okay, so when you, and how I get to that mindset, just so you know, because I get presented with deals every day. Right now I have a deal on my desk about a go-kart track. Okay, so I happen to love go-karting. So do my kids, so does my husband. So I've got the business plan on my desk to have a look at. I have to analyze it to see if it's worth investing in. That's the thing. I need to find out. I need to read the what they have first, and then I have to do my own due diligence. Okay, will a population of this size support something like that? I know we like to go karting on our holidays, but you know what? We've never even went to Lumsden, which is a half an hour out of the city, and go karted there. So would people make the time to go when it's right local? There's a zip lining thing out by our cottage, and we've never went zip lining here, but every time we go on a holiday to Mexico, we end up going on a zip lining. So you have to analyze in different ways. The other, I've been approached with a car wash. And one of the things that come to my mind when I'm looking at that is, can I see the value? Yes, absolutely. Can I see why car washes are good businesses, especially in Saskatchewan where we have all kinds of weather, right? Absolutely, I can see the value. But part of the due diligence is, you know, why do people sell when they've got a business? Is it as lucrative as they say? Is there more competition coming in all the time? I actually know a guy that runs almost like a mutual fund of car washes, and I know the person who sells the fund, so I'm going to go talk to him and ask him, you know, what they see the upsides are and the downsides, and then take that back and help with the decision. So by going through that process in my mind, that's what gets me to the confidence stage. If I can never get to the confidence stage where I can go, I absolutely believe that this is going to be a go, I can't sell it. Can't sell it. That's why years ago, when I started really learning about real estate, I couldn't sell mutual funds anymore. I just couldn't. I serviced my clients. Didn't bring on any new clients before I left because I knew I was leaving, and basically just sold my book and say, here, you look after them. And so you got to be able to believe you, and part of your belief comes from your due diligence. So in my 90-day to 5K course, when I tell people analyze 100 deals, there's a reason for that. If you analyze 3 or 4 deals, might be an okay deal, might but you won't know enough to really be able to tell if you've got yourself a really good deal. I see it all the time when people send me deals across my desk. And what does this look like to you? Like, how does it look? And I can tell if it looks good off the first go, but lots of times they can't. So by learning to analyze those 100 deals, that's what wakes you up to, is this a really good deal? And then to be in that frame of mind to be saying, yes, it is, and now I need to attract investors. Any questions on any of that, you guys? I'm just going to go say good morning. I see a bunch of people have joined us on here. Good morning, Sharnrick. Good morning, James. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Keaton. Good morning, Judy. Good morning, Alexandra. And good morning, Corny. Okay, perfect. So any questions on any of that? What are some mindsets that you get yourself into before you go meet with an investor? What are some mindsets that you go with whatever you're selling? Chandel, when you're going to sell marketing, what mindset do you put yourself into? You absolutely know that what you offer works, right? And the other thing is if there's certain things that aren't working the way that you expect them to, you always have to concentrate on the best part that's going on. You can't, it doesn't always, with real estate especially, is not always perfect. Actually, I won't even say with real estate especially. Sometimes you're selling cars where the cars turn out to be a lemon. That happens. You have to be able to deal with it. You have to be able to keep your customers happy. You got to go back and forth between the customer and maybe head office to see what you can do for them, that sort of thing. But you have to have a belief that if there's a challenge, there are ways to fix them too. What can I add to that? Do we have any questions about that? Oh, good morning, Brian from UK. How are you doing? Good morning, Graham. Chandel says, I use a lot of visualization techniques and try to paint a picture. Okay, so you visualize and try to paint the end result, kind of what it's going to look like for you, right? Good for you. Hey, good morning, Jackie. How are you? I find that as long as my due diligence is in order, I've looked at everything, and especially now we've been through 437 doors that we bought and many more that we've helped people buy. I should actually track that, how many more we've helped people buy. And now I can analyze. I'm pretty sure up front, very seldom we're surprised by something that comes up in due diligence. And if we are, we just let it go. It's just no big deal at all. So I feel like my experience really helps me a lot, having that frame of mind that says, yes, this is a good deal. The other thing that helps me a lot is knowing that in real estate, you don't have to have a home run to do good in real estate, especially when you're looking at long-term buy and hold, because the good thing is if you're looking at a long-term buy and hold, you're going to go through a few cycles, you're going to go through a few times where it's really good, a few times where it's not so good, and it all averages out in the long run. So that's another frame of mind that I keep myself into is you might buy sometimes and you get a really, really good deal, but I got this from my mentor, Don Campbell. He always said, you know what? the best thing about real estate is he says, I've got a few home runs, but most of my purchases have been average deals. So that's one thing for you guys to keep in mind. Don't always be going for the home run. Just an average deal can still do fine, and you'll end up good. Hey, good morning, Ken. How are you? So any questions about that? Does that mindset resonate with you? Having to get yourself in the right mindset before you can make your offer to someone, really believing in what your offer is before you go out and sell it. If you feel like I'm getting too good of a deal and the other person isn't, that's hard to sell. But if you can really feel like, hey, this is a real win-win situation, like with investors especially, you've got to really know that, yeah, you get the use of their money, but what do they get? So think of that too. And sometimes I get approached by people and they're not in very good financial situation, and they're asking, well, who would loan me money to get me out of this situation? And you know what? The fact is, that's not a good time to be looking for money. If you're in dire financial straits and you start going out with a look of desperation, like, oh my gosh, I need some money to clear this up and clear that up, or whatever your challenge is, that's not a good mindset to be going in. You have to go in with the mindset of, how can this benefit my investor? It's not just, how can this help me? How can I get out of this trouble I've got myself into? But how could, by somebody investing with me, how could that benefit them? So, that's where hard money lenders and private lenders and stuff earn a really good return on their money, because they know that when you're dealing with less equity or short term loans and stuff like that, they can ask for what might seem like ridiculous prices, but they get it because the person looking for the money knows that they can make more on the other end, not they're rescuing them. Nobody loans you money to rescue you. You have to think that through. What are you giving to the investor to get that money? And how can you protect that investor? Like, what collateral can you give them? But if it's just a straight, well, I just want to get myself out of debt. And I've had people approach me like that a lot. Like, oh, I've got a whole bunch of Visa bills to pay. I'd pay you 10%, and if you just help me pay those Visa bills. And you know what? If I did that for everybody, oh my God, it would be a full-time job. And you know what? I could charge outrageous interest in a lot of cases. But in the long run, are you doing that person any favor? I don't think so. You're not, by rescuing them. They've got themselves in a pickle for different reasons. They have to figure out a way to get themselves out. Maybe it's I've seen people where they've maybe went full-time into real estate, and the real estate market turned around and they're not getting as much rents. What do? They may go get another job. They may go back to the oil field for a while to earn some extra dollars to carry some stuff. Farmers, classic example. They have a bad year on the farm. They're all off working the next year instead of holidaying. That's the kind of stuff you need to do when you're committed entrepreneur. And it's also when I tell people, when they're very first starting out and thinking about leaving that full-time job to go into real estate investing, maximize those lines of credits and credit cards and stuff, because at some point you'll probably use them. But don't use them for stupid stuff like buying a boat or going on a holiday. Use it for your business. Maybe you use that to get some training, to get some coaching. Maybe you use that for that down payment when your investor pulls out at the last minute, that sort of thing. That's what you use it for. Not to all of us go on a bunch of holidays and stuff like that. Graham's asked, what are some books you'd recommend on mindset? One that I really like, I'll see if I can grab it here and find it for you. This one was really good. It's by Dean Graziosi, and he's a multi-millionaire real estate investor from the US. But I really like his style. He's easy to read, easy to understand, and he's got a really good story too, and he genuinely cares. This whole Millionaire Success Habits is a mindset thing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that book. It's one of my favorites. I look back on it quite often. Another one that I've been liking lately, you know what, I've got it on my phone, so I'm not sure I can bring it up, but it's by Esther and Abraham Hicks, and it's, what's it called? You know what, Graham, I'm probably going to have to post this on here after because I can't remember it, and I have it in my Kindle books, which is on my phone, so I don't want to go off. But there's a lot of mindset books that I really like. Kind of depends what you're looking for. There's probably so many mindset ones out there. I don't even know where to start. But I'll look through my list. Chandel's been after me lately to make a list of books to share with people because I'm an avid reader. I'm reading all the time, going through different trainings and reading all the time. So I've got a few on my Kindle book that I can talk to you about. Judy says, I learned in new home sales that something will always go wrong. So it's just how you handle it. So be prepared for it. And you know what? That's exactly true, Judy. You know, I talk about that in the 90 Day to 5K course. Like, go through some of our worst case scenarios that's happened. And with myself, I use real life experiences because people will say, well, what's the real downside to real estate? And I can say, well, you know what? This is some of the stuff that can happen. And I give them a real life example because it does happen. So you just have to be prepared for it. And one of the things that I use in my presentation, and I've encouraged my students to too, is let's talk about a worst case scenario. So in real estate, one of the worst case scenarios I use is, okay, let's say you buy a $350,000 house, and in 20 years, that house is still only worth $350,000. You'd think that that's a pretty crappy investment, right? And you get your investor to say yes. And then you say, okay, so that's probably our worst case scenario. You know, we buy a house for $350,000 and in 20 years it's worth $350,000. Like, chances are pretty slim, but what if that happened? What if every dollar we made in cash flow went back for repairs and maintenance, higher vacancy than normal, whatever else, but you were able to keep tenants in there? And I mean, it's a management thing, so it's not like somebody's just gonna, you know, show up and say, hey, can I move into your house? You've got to advertise, you've got to look after them, you've got to check on them, stuff like that. But let's say we owned that house for 20 years and it was still worth the same. We hadn't got any cash flow. What's the upside? Well, your house is paid off in 20 years. And you might have put $60,000 in at the beginning. Now it's worth, so you've got $240,000 on that $60,000 initial investment. That's still a really good deal. That's in real estate. So people say, well, what if the house burns down? Got insurance. What if we can't manage it well and we turn out we're not good at real estate? Sell it. You know, you're going to learn that fairly quickly. You don't just leave your house sitting there vacant for 5 years and go, oh, everything you taught me was wrong. You know what I mean? So you have to take the responsibility and you have to make it work. But you have to show people what could be a worst case scenario. Corny said, listen to the post that put on 90 Days to 5K the other day. Great mindset material. I listen to this stuff when I mow my lawn. Perfect. Well, okay. So yeah, in my 90 Day to 5K, module 4, I believe, is all about mindset. And it's really good stuff. It's really about how to understand if you've got a growth or a fixed mindset, how you can fix that. Just different ways to be thinking. And you know, I talk about different things on this live too, which I'm just going to check and see what time it is here. 10:25. I have another call right at 10:30. But another big one is when stuff happens to you or happens, to change it to, why is this happening for me instead of why is this happening to me? why does this shit always happen to me? Why does this shit always happen to me? Did anybody ever hear themselves say that? How would it be? Why is this happening? What do I need to learn from this? What, if I want to grow a multi-million-dollar business, do I have to learn to handle some of this stuff that gets thrown at me? Absolutely. So those are just mindset shifts. I still remember when, actually, Courtney, if you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example. We went to a 3-day event in Fort Lauderdale, and Courtney brought his brother. And he, everything is different when you go to these things. The meals aren't always the right time. You got homework, and you don't have as much free time a lot of times as you think. And I still, one of his brother was kind of complaining because he didn't get fed or something. I can't remember. Do you remember that, Courtney? And Courtney says, that's a mindset thing. He says, who cares if you miss one meal in your whole freaking life? Just go to the meeting and shut up already. I might have said that a little more harsh than you did, Courtney, but that, you know what, that's kind of how I would be thinking. I didn't hear any of it. I was just getting it secondhand. But yeah, I mean, does it hurt anybody to skip the odd meal? No. Does it feel good? No. But, it's just a mind over matter. If you can get past that, you can get past anything. So it's something to think about. Anyway, I am going to sign off because I do have another call here right away. So hope you got some value out of that. And yeah, like Courtney says, if you have mindset issues, go back and listen to Module 4 again. Or not even issues. It's just a reminder, because I need reminders all the time. There's things that I catch myself getting into, and I got to go back and start just making myself think differently. So everyone have a very, very good week. And we'll see you Friday for Free Coaching Friday. Take care. Always look for the best, Judy says. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like things that happen, there might be a silver lining there down in the future. So the quicker we can think of it that way, the better off we are. Okay, thanks for all the stars and thumbs up and the shares. I really appreciate that. Oh, and thank you, Rosa. Glad to see you on here. Take care. Bye for now.